What do you think, Andreas, is the best strategy?
Some people might say that's scalping, but personally, I prefer position trading or long-term strategies.
Can you stick always to one strategy, or do you think it's a good approach to switch between different strategies?
I like to stick to one general strategy, but adjust it depending on what I'm trading or what time frame or instrument.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Exness Trading Talks. Last week we looked at 1 minute scalping, how this strategy works, how traders can apply it. So if you missed that episode, please click on the link here and you can go back to watch it now. This week we'll be talking a bit more generally about currency trading strategies overall. I'm Michael Stark, Financial Content Leader, and joining us to give his insights into the topic is Andreas Themistokleous, Trading Content Specialist. Welcome, Andreas.
Hello, Michael, and thanks for having me.
So in general, there's basically as many strategies to trade Forex as there are traders. But let's think about it high level. What do you think are some of the most popular overall strategies? How do they work? How do they differ from each other? What are some of the key elements within them?
Yeah, so I don't want to say best strategies, but most common ones is the ones combining both technical analysis and fundamental analysis. Some people tend to use more of one or just one, but personally, I like to use a combination of both because technical analysis can show you where and when to entry or exit a trade, and fundamentals gives you an overall view of what's happening in the market. So I find that the ideal, if we can call that strategy, is a combination of these two analysis.
Yeah.
And also, to add to that, some sentiment also comes into play, especially when it comes to crypto, for example. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, I like to use that as well in my strategy. So technical, fundamentals, and also some sentiment analysis.
Yeah. No, you're certainly allowed to have your own opinion about what you think is the best strategy, and I think that's something that's very good to hear.
Yeah.
So it's critical to combine technicals and fundamentals and also sentiment where possible. What about timeframes? What do you think are some of the best, in your opinion, timeframes to trade on, or what kind of time-based strategy do you think is a good one?
There is a lot of debate in the ideal time frame. I mean, if you are speaking with a scalper, minute to 5 minutes tops. Yeah. So personally, I like to use the daily time frame because I'm more of a long-term position trader. So for me, the ideal might be 4 hours to daily. But again, it all depends on your style. If you are more trades, smaller positions, you might want to use smaller time frames. If you are a more long-term, you might want to use 4 hour or daily.
Yes, that makes sense.
In my analysis, I also sometimes I like to use weekly and monthly to get the overall trend, but still daily it's my sweet spot. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Context and Fibonacci sometimes could be useful,
Yes.
obviously, monthly. Yes. Okay. So from your overall experience or specific experience with a particular strategy, what would you say are some of the particular mistakes you would highlight as you learned the most from these?
Yeah. Again, from personal experience, especially in the beginning of my trading journey, let's say, overtrading and revenge trading are the two most not common, but like have the most impact on your overall strategy. Why? Because overtrading tends to, when you're winning some trades in a row, you feel like you got it all sorted out. So you tend to, that's when everything goes wrong. And also revenge trading, it all has to do with your psychology. I mean, it's a very common emotion to feel like after a losing trade, you want to take revenge of the market somehow. So that's making things worse.
Yeah, the professionals still make mistakes. It's just a question of when we realize we have a certain pattern of doing this mistake over and over again, we try to reduce it. We don't necessarily try to get rid of it entirely because it's not really realistic to do that. Yeah. And I mean, not necessarily just mistakes that you learn from, any lessons, or what would you say is the top tip for strategies? I know that's a little bit difficult to bring the top. What's the first tip that comes into your head, let's say, for when it comes to designing a strategy, implementing a strategy?
Top tip, test your strategy. Open a demo account or start very small. Test your strategy before you implement it with, higher positioning, let's say. So yeah, testing a strategy for me is like, if I had to choose one tip, that would be it. Test your strategy before going big.
Yeah, and how would you recommend somebody to do that? Only on a demo account, or not recommend, but how do you personally do it? Only on a demo account, or do you also use a small real account? What's your approach to testing a strategy before implementing?
Yeah, what I did was I opened a demo account, right? But I didn't open a demo account with, let's say, a balance of 1 million. I kept it realistic. For example, open a demo account based on your capital, let's say, that you will actually allocate when you start actually trading. So if it's $1,000 or $100 or whatever the amount might be, just open a demo account based on your capital, abilities, and also implement the leverage that you will be using later on. If it's 1-to-1, let it be 1-to-1. Just test your strategy and then apply it into a real account.
Yeah. And for more in-depth information on currency trading strategies and how you can test them and various other things, click on the link in the description to go to the article on this topic on Exness Insights. So let's talk a little bit about flip-flopping between strategies. Lots of people have lots of opinions about why this is a bad thing. What do you think? Why do you think it's a bad thing? Or do you not think it's a bad thing to flip-flop, to change between strategies at different times?
Yeah. To hop between strategies, I think it's more based on emotion, right? When you get emotional, you just scrap everything and start over with a new strategy. In my opinion, I think that's somewhat wrong, because if you've implemented a general strategy, you can just tweak or adjust your strategy based on what went wrong in your last trade. If that would be emotion, for example, then you don't need to change your strategy. You just control your emotion. You don't need to start over just because you got emotional over some trade, for example. So I think that keeping a main strategy but adjusting it, yes, but hopping or completely shifting between different strategies is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, makes sense. No, that's a very good tip, Andreas. It's important to have some degree of flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much, Andreas, for joining us, for giving me these tips. There's some very good series of tips that I'm going to have to watch this again as well to think about it also. And thank you also to our viewers. And this has been our podcast for this week in Exness Trading Talks. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about copy trading. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure that you subscribe, you have notifications turned on, and hopefully you'll join us again for that. Thank you.